Last time on Solo Leveling Season 2, Jin-Woo re-enters the secret dungeon again, now far more powerful than before. Meanwhile, son Il-won, Jin-Woo's biological father, gets released from a dungeon after 10 years, bearing ominous news about an apparent world-ending threat. He defeats Wang Dongsu without any difficulty, while Jin-Woo decides to pause at floor 75 of the dungeon. Will the two be meeting each other soon? And what threat exactly was Il-won speaking of? Stay tuned to find out in Episode 4. Episode 4 starts off with Jin-Woo exiting the secret dungeon. Now only in need of purified Demon King's blood, since he had the other two items needed for the Elixir of Life in his possession, Jin-Woo realizes he must participate in higher-ranked dungeons in order to keep leveling up. But being an E rank wouldn't allow him to do that, so he decides to finally stop hiding his powers and get a re-evaluation for Hunter rank. At the evaluation center, Jin-Woo gets recognized right away by Hyun, who immediately calls Yoon-ho to inform him about it. Yoon-ho leaves abruptly to come over there in person, while Jin-Woo's turn comes up for Hunter rank evaluation. He puts his hand on the black sphere, and the reading shows an error. The lady operating it asks him to do it again, but the issue persists. That's when the director comes in, and after seeing the same error for himself, he clarifies that this meant that Jin-Woo was the 10th S-ranked hunter of Japan. Jong-in, during a chat with Jin-chol, tries to pry into the Red Gate case, and about the person who conquered it more specifically, when suddenly a bunch of commotion starts coming from the evaluation center. The two head over to have a look and find Jin-Woo being surrounded by a crowd of hunters, whispering around about him being the 10th S-ranked hunter in Japan. Jin-Woo instantly recognizes Jong-in, the famous fire-type hunter nicknamed the Ultimate Hunter. Jong-in extends his hand out to greet Jin-Woo but gets dismissed like any ordinary person by Jin-Woo, who excuses himself for being busy at the moment, leaving the representative of the Hunters Guild stunned. As soon as he leaves without leaving any trace, Yoon-ho comes charging in, asking for Jin-Woo. Jong-in reaches the conclusion that Jin-Woo must have been the one who conquered the Red Gate, based on how desperate Yoon-ho was to come to recruit him himself so desperately. Jong-in then leaves while Yoon-ho grits his teeth, as he was the last person he wanted to know about Jin-Woo. Later in the day, Jin-Woo pays a visit to his mother at the hospital, promising to get her back to normal soon. Although, as he's leaving, he finds Jin-chol waiting for him there. Uninterested in conversing with him, Jin-Woo begins to leave when Jin-chol entices him to stay by introducing Chairman Go of the Hunter Association to him the next second. The two sit down for a little chat, where Go breaks the news to Jin-Woo that he is now an S-ranked hunter, and congratulates him for it. Not beating around the bush, he then gets to the reason for meeting Jin-Woo, which was to recruit him into the association. With the 5 hunter guilds barely balanced as is, an S-rank like Jin-Woo joining one of them could seriously throw off the balance. So he wished the association could become the 6th power in the country, and for that, he needed someone like Jin-Woo. He offers Jin-Woo a prestigious position at the association. Jin-Woo contemplates it, considering all the power and money in it, not to mention the learning opportunity from a beaming veteran like Go, but ends up eventually declining his offer, stating his hunger for battle as his reason. This answer shocks Go, who finds a kindred spirit in Jin-Woo and wishes he were 10 years younger so he could fight him. Jin-Woo takes his leave and heads back home, thinking about leveling up as fast as possible to heal his mother. Meanwhile in America, a banged up and bruised Wang Dongsu gets a hospital visit from the deputy director of the American Guild. He asks him regarding the true nature of Il-won, if he was really a magical beast. Hwang insists there was no denying he was one, as he recalls the warning Il-won gave him after defeating him so easily. Furious from his humiliating defeat, Hwang plans to equip himself with an artifact that could crush Il-won. Artifacts were mythical items found in dungeons that no human could craft, and were sold online. Jin-Woo searches for some to equip himself better for the dungeon, but they all fetch hefty prices. Around the same time, Chairman Go, who was looking into Jin-Woo's past records, gets the news that he had joined the Hunters Guild's mining mission, making him even more curious about Jin-Woo. The mining team was responsible for collecting mana crystals during raids. Jin-Woo blends in as an average E-ranked hunter among them. Inside the dungeon, Jong-in displays his terrifying powers as he sets ablaze the monsters of the dungeon with just a snap of his fingers, exiting the dungeon with none of his crew even bruised. Walking behind him is Hae-in, the dancer, who was the 9th S-ranked hunter of Japan. She notices Jin-Woo's presence and looks around, but Jin-Woo evades her. Jin-Woo and the miners get called inside, where Jin-Woo feels the magical powers emitting from the A-ranked dungeon boss, and gets excited about the idea of fighting it to verify its strength. Even in this line of work, the scrutiny against low-ranked hunters existed as a burly guy bumped into Jin-Woo, acting all tough. Although sensing Jin-Woo's bloodlust, he wisely backs down immediately. Jin-Woo stuns his co-workers with his extreme work ethic as he tears through the mana crystals without stopping. He then heads over to where the boss was during his lunch break, but before he can get to it, he gets stopped by Hae-in. Episode 5 picks up from where the last episode ended. with Haein finding Jin-Woo at the gate to the dungeon boss's lair. She starts asking what he was doing there by himself, reminding him of the danger of the final boss and the catastrophic damage provoking him could end up causing him and his team. Jin-Woo, trying not to act suspicious, tells her he was just lost and starts heading back to his group when Haein suddenly notices something about him as he passes by her. She asks him to stop and abruptly walks up to him, sticking her face close to his chest and taking a whiff. While she's surprised that Jin-Woo, unlike other hunters, didn't give off a nasty scent, Jin-Woo gets caught completely off guard as she confirms if he really was a hunter. Shocked by a pleasant scent coming from a hunter, she speculates it must have to do with his low rank, as she dismisses him after their awkward encounter. After regrouping, Jin-Woo learns that Haein usually always keeps her distance from other hunters due to her sensitive sense of smell, although for some reason that was not the case with him. He wonders if it had anything to do with him being a player, only to then ponder exactly what that meant as well. Thanks to his exceptional mining work, Jin-Woo is showered with praises after his shift and even gets a full-time job offer. He refuses this. However, the opportunity to carry out a dual raid of an A and C rank dungeon the next day intrigues him, and he agrees. Meanwhile, Haein tries digging into Jin-Woo's past, only to find out most of the data on him was being kept hidden by the association. This piques her interest even more in the first hunter she met, who had a pleasant scent. Back to working in the mines, Jin-Woo is met with bittersweet feelings as he's greeted by the mining team that reminds him of his former team. Jin-Woo carries out yet another successful shift as he enjoys his meal with his colleagues. The captain of the A-rank dungeon's second assault team, Sun Ki-hoon, shows up asking for any volunteers to help them with equipment carrying. No one comes forward, not considering the risks worth the reward, except for Jin-Woo. His team tries to talk him out of it, but Ki-hoon reassures him that he doesn't need to worry. The second assault team, made up of 6 A rankers and 3 B rankers, would be a first team anywhere else, attesting to the Hunters Guild's power. Walking through the gate, Jin-Woo gets an eerie feeling similar to the double dungeon, as if something was off. Suddenly, the team gets into a combat stance simultaneously as they sense danger. A pack of dungeon jackals appears, although, for these hunters, they were child's play as they wipe them out in no time. The appearance of these C-ranked beasts in an A-ranked dungeon raises everyone's suspicions as Jin-Woo spots a collar on one, suggesting they were perhaps being used as hunting dogs. Then, to ring Jin-Woo's initial suspicions true, a horde of high orcs comes out. The mighty beast throws its spear at one of the hunters and almost manages to take him out as the orcs begin their charge. The orcs' toughness and immense power get demonstrated right away as they put up a tough fight against the hunters. The hunters retaliate, but their efforts don't prove to be enough against these brutish foes who start overwhelming them. One of the B-ranked hunters gets his arm chopped off, but help arrives in time, and the team healer starts healing him. However, another orc appears all of a sudden, and it seems as if all hope was lost. That's when the magical beast starts choking suddenly. It was Jin-Woo, strangling it while using stealth to remain invisible. Jin-Woo then rips the orc apart out of its spine and continues to assist his team by inflicting damage on the orcs while staying hidden since he wasn't going to just let his team die but didn't want to show off being the outsider. The assault team starts gaining momentum against the orcs gradually and finally manages to defeat them all as Ki-hoon slices the last one dead. Jin-Woo then casually collects his equipment as if he didn't do anything while the rest of the team takes a sigh of relief. While some members wonder about the strange behavior the orcs started exhibiting randomly, the spectral magic caster of the group had seen Jin-Woo doing all that he did, but she decided to stay quiet about it, thinking he probably had his reasons. Ki-hoon decides they should head back for now. As they approach the exit, they find a barrier over it. The mages try to lift it, but take immense damage by attempting to do so. That's when a giant horde of orcs, about 50 in total, appears. One of the orcs walks to the front and starts yelling gibberish. The same orc, as though possessed now, starts speaking English all of a sudden and introduces Kargalgan, the orc sorcerer leader of the orc tribe. Kargalgan then gives Ki-hoon 2 choices. Either they come meet him or die at the hands of his soldiers. Ki-hoon picks the former and tells Jin-Woo to escape through the gate while they attack the boss, stating their mission was to close the gate rather than return alive. One of the female hunters hands Jin-Woo her will and requests he hand it over to her family in case the worst happens. This air of despair reminds Jin-Woo of the double dungeon mission. Jin-Woo reassures them that things hopefully won't turn out that way. Simultaneously, Haein shows up at the gate entrance looking for Jin-Woo, only to find out he had actually gone inside the A-ranked dungeon, despite being just an E rank. The second assault team arrives at the orc boss's grand lair, as the terrifying orc king, Kargalgan, welcomes them there. Stay connected, like and subscribe for more fun recaps on one and only Endless Recaps.